So welcome to Friday Focus. It's 11/13/2015. And I'm going to talk about, since we're coming to the end of the year, my objectives for 2016 and things I'd like to see happen. I'm going to roll out in the next few weeks about, say, our vision for the next year. And right now I'm going to set the building blocks for it, and we're going to talk about what we can do to achieve our goals. Okay? So if we were to survey our staff, and we've done that, we'd say, what are your biggest concerns about work? It'd be maybe lack of training. And today during our leadership meeting, we're talking about a lot of new things that were understood at one location, but maybe not understood at another location. Paul and Heather went to the CoolSculpt event in Virginia, and they came back with some things they learned from CoolSculpt. And I'm thinking, I know that stuff, and I didn't know we hadn't been training you on this. And look at, they came back and they actually had an idea how they were going to grow the CoolSculpt business. And they had even had a plan for how they were going to kind of take it over, grow it, and get more patients happy with CoolSculpting based on what they learned. They were trained, okay? So they got training that we didn't do. And there was nothing that they said that I didn't know about, because I was trained on this. I learned it myself. And then we handed it off, and it was almost like that game you play with telephone where you whisper something in somebody's ear and eventually it changes. So I want to standardize training and get much more training. In fact, we're going to invest a lot of money in training in 2016. I've already purchased a major training consulting company to help us, through the Scheduling Institute. We're going to assign more time to training. Just this week, on Tuesday, we did a training with the doctors that was fun to do, but it's like I tried to shove way too much training into 2 hours. In reality, looking back, I should have had smaller groups of doctors, smaller numbers of patients, and a little bit more time. So I want to imagine training takes two investments. It takes investments of our time, and it takes investments of our money. Okay? So giving up a little production for training, that's okay. That's where we need to go, because training will allow you to be more effective at your job. So training is going to be a key element. We talked at the previous Friday Focus about how to communicate with people, how to train people. And I'm going to expect you as the staff members to do the training. It's not going to be me. You know, I'll train the doctors and some of the staff, and even with new things I'll train. But I'm expecting the staff to take over training. And it's going to require hands-on training, like we've talked about, making videos. Quentin will help make videos. And then writing. And if you have something that, let's say you're not good at, writing stuff. I get very frustrated with it. And there's somebody in the room writing down notes so that way they can write out what we're talking about. So if you're a learner by reading, which I am, you can read it. And if you're not, you can watch this video, make some hands-on stuff. So training. What are the obstacles of training? I kind of think I know what they are, because I've been training for a long time. The obstacle of training. It's the classic one is, I'm too busy. Right? Well, that's kind of stupid, because if you're too busy, you should be training somebody to do your job or help you with your job. So too busy to train is like a bad idea. I hear, I'm too busy to hire somebody. It's like, really? So if you're too busy to training, the mistake was you should have done it before. You should have done it before you got too busy, but now you're too busy, you need to train somebody to help you with the job. The second reason might be they should already know. They should know. And that's like saying, I think people should read my mind. Another one is, this is one I hear a lot, I already told them. I already told them. So the already told them is the excuse you use for the fact that you didn't train them well enough. Okay, so if you trained them well enough, they would have been able to do it, able to accomplish it. But if you told them or trained them once, some people take one time and they can think about it and visualize it and do it. We know from our Kolbe scores that people learn and adapt to things differently. I know that I learn by reading things and then trying to do it. I do very poorly with hearing it. When I was in medical school, we had something called Note Pool, where we paid somebody to write down every word the professor said. And I didn't go to school. For the first 2 years, nobody knew me. I was painting houses. And I showed up for the exams, and I graduated top 10 of my class. Never went to class. Now, when we went to our clinicals, I went. But for medical school, nobody knew me. I was invisible. I was the youngest kid there. And we started school before graduating college. And I knew how to learn by reading, and that's what I did. Now, if you put me in an environment where I had to sit in a class all day, I would have done poorly in school. And I knew this. I knew I'd be poorly in school, listen to somebody, because I'd be staring at the ceiling and all pissed off I'm sitting there instead of painting houses. And we have to accept the fact that when we're working with somebody, they've got different instincts and personalities and ways they learn. And if you're training somebody, you should figure out, how do I train the person properly? How do I communicate with this person properly? If they're bored and frustrated, you're not doing the right thing. Okay? If they didn't get it last time, it was really you. You didn't get the message across. So for 2016, we're going to put substantially more emphasis on training. Now, who should be training? You might think, well, it should be my manager or my supervisor. The reality is that people are working here. You're part of a team to make this practice grow. You should be participating in training pretty much any job that you do. So we know that you do that now. You might be training a student from Carnegie. You might be training a new front desk person. You might be training somebody in billing. But I need you to put more emphasis into it. Otherwise, it's still your job. And if you want to grow in your job, which I think we all do, nobody comes here wanting to be mediocre. If you want to grow your job, the way you do that is by training others to help you. Okay? There's a African proverb that Al Gore used in one of his speeches. I thought it was kind of neat. It's if you want to get there, if you want to go fast, go alone. And if you want to go far, go together. Okay? So if we want to go far, we don't necessarily need to grow the practice fast. That actually kind of messes us up. We had a big growth in new patients this month. We're up 100% over last year. Kind of don't have the training in place to make those new patients maybe convert into procedures. And you can't make the patient happy unless we do something to them. So if we see them as a new patient, we don't convert them, there's no possible way of making them happy. Even when you say, well, this patient's not happy with their Botox, they simply wanted more. Okay, so to make patients happy, we've got to convert them. To convert them, we've got to train. To get billing correct, we've got to train people to bill properly. To make the schedule correct. Yesterday I had a horrible schedule. I saw a lot of patients that I really would not normally see because we had maybe some scheduling things that were messed up because of lack of training. So 2016, we're going to start this maybe starting out now, but 2016 is going to be our training year. And I'm willing to spend whatever it takes to get the training done. I want you to think to yourself what you can do to help the practice by training other people to do their job properly. The more experienced people can train the newest people. The newer people can train the students and some of the people coming on board, and the training will allow us to be more effective. Okay? Allow us to do our job better and also reduce stress. I can tell when I'm talking to somebody, I'm asking for something, and they don't know what I'm talking about. They weren't trained or may have the wrong person in the room. But if they're trained, your day goes by smoother. It goes by better. And as you get more experience with things, you're more effective at training. So that's the Friday Focus. I want to let you know where we're going in the future. We've done a lot of work with building out new offices. We've hired a lot of new people, and we need to put a huge emphasis on training each other. Thank you very much.